Top of the morning, afternoon or evening, folks. It's Captain Liam here from Motor Yacht and Bridled. It's a Tuesday, so we're going to try and check in with each other. And hopefully we have an opportunity to speak to the lovely Tessa from Navigating Balance. But I hope everyone's well and looking after themselves. And maybe Captain Scott Kidd will join as well. And we'll go from there. Firstly, folks, we want to take a minute to say the prayers to Australia. Hello, Tessa.
Hello, Captain Liam. How are you?
Excellent. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you.
Wonderful. And whereabouts are you?
I'm in Plett in South Africa, in the Western Cape.
The Western Cape. Lovely part of the world, I hear.
Beautiful, yes.
My mother just went on a train from, I think it was Johannesburg to Cape Town.
Okay, and how did you find that?
It was meant to be the world's most luxurious train, so she got all dressed up, and it was nice wine. She said, great food, great wine.
Good. Yeah.
But the scenery she thought it was a bit more mountains and wilderness and all that, but that's a train, I guess.
Yeah.
So we may have Captain Scott Kidd join us, and there's a lot of people already in, so bless everyone who joins. I appreciate you taking the time. It's really important, crew mental health and wellness, and that's why we're honoured to have Tessa here. But just before we jump into that, I just want to say a quick prayer. It'll only take a minute. God have mercy and strength as we think about Australia and all the victims over the world that are related to the tragedy in Australia. I pray for the brave, the people that have stood up against what this has done to a country as beautiful to me as Australia. So all the prayers to Australia, all the people in the world that are affected by the tragedy, and onwards we go with positivity and good spirits. So Tessa, tell us about yourself.
Wow, okay. So I'm from South Africa. I studied dietetics at university in Stellenbosch and did my community service up in Zululand. South Africans will know that's very far in the middle of nowhere. And then decided to do, hello, Captain. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
Good, thank you. And then my boyfriend and I decided to do, he was a guide in the safari, and we both kind of had like a shift of what we wanted to do, and we joined the yachting industry in 2023.
Why would you do it to yourself, you know? Sounds the dream, doesn't it?
It's a love-hate relationship, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's so many pros and so many cons. But no, I loved it. And then, I mean, I guess that's why we had to talk about navigating balance as well. I just felt, one, I was needing some sort of like intellectual stimulation. Dietetics is my passion. I love the science of nutrition and human physiology. And I also saw myself struggling a lot in yachting with the stressful environment, the crazy schedules. We all know the story. And just kind of speaking to crew about it, it's not just me, it's so many others. So I just sort of started that.
Good on you. Maybe it was a good distraction from yachting, you know.
Really?
That's the other thing too, because yachting can be overwhelming, and it seems like the more people I meet in yachting too, there's always this something else they want to embark on just to keep away from being super saturated in that environment. But how are you, Captain Scott, on this beautiful Tuesday?
Very good. Hey, thanks for mentioning the tragedy. It's pretty sad.
Oh, especially, I don't want to get too emotional, but it's my country.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'm proud of my country and the gun laws we have and the different, we don't want to get into politics, but it's just like, Bondi Beach, Australia, middle of summer.
Yeah, man.
That's a special part of the world.
That's a safe place, man. It's supposed to be a safe place.
Yeah, to me, I saw 9/11 when I was in Australia at the ferries working. Yeah. And I saw it on TV, and for us as Australians, there's no comparison ever in any tragedy. But us as Australians, this really hurts. It really hurts. It's just such. But anyway, today is about tragedy. It's about positivity. Yeah, it's also not about six packs. It's not about being the strongest person in the room. It's not about, doing yoga every morning for the rest of your life or breath work. It's more about navigating balance. Mm-hmm. So what's your kind of take on it, Tessa? I want to start with you. What's your take on it? Why are we in this industry that's just people just keep burning and crashing?
Mm. I think to put it bluntly, is there is this expectation for crew to work hard, and we should be working hard to, give the best service to the guests and make sure the boat's safe and maintained and all of that. But then there's sort of like a barrier, or kind of like a blurred line between working hard and kind of burning out.
Yeah.
And the industry is so saturated, so there is a lot of competition, to get onto a good boat and have a good program, that I do find crew are just trying their best. And we kind of often feel, I don't know if we feel like a number, but there's like so much competition between either crew. I've even had like crew dynamics where you're comparing yourselves, or you're comparing like the crew versus another vessel. So I think we do lose sight of that, and we live and work and eat and breathe in that environment every single day. So it's really hard to be like, actually, I need a break, I need to step off, and to prioritize yourself, because we're just absorbed in the environment constantly, 24/7.
Yeah, well, Captain Scott and I, we've kind of started this check-in Tuesdays, and it was just us on a Zoom call, I believe, at the start, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Scott, we started at a boat show. We kind of realised that, as leaders, we are responsible for this, and good crew burn out on good boats due to poor leadership.
Yeah.
I'll give you one quick example. A friend of mine just called up and said he just got fired. 2 captains rotational on the same boat. Is a charter boat. Both of them didn't really step in and help him at all, and he just burned himself out 5:30 to like 10 o'clock at night. And after like 2 weeks, he just crashed and burned and had to walk off the boat. And there was a combination of fired, walk off, and it was like. And he's called me today, and I'm like, "That's not your fault, man. You were burnt out, So how do you resonate with that, Captain Scott? What's your kind of thoughts on it?"
Well, I know the grind culture is real. I know, especially living in the States, a lot of jobs you really have to work 1 year before you get a week off, or even less. And it's easy to, like you said, get very all consumed, with it, and just kind of just keep going and grind yourself down to nothing, because it's easy to just it's easier just to kind of keep going and not realize, and just kind of push a lot of things to the side. But I've kind of over the years just kind of made a conscious effort of myself, just because I know that I take a lot more breaks and stuff. It might be mini breaks, even in my head or stuff like that. But it's very difficult to find that balance, especially when you're on a busy charter boat. Like the boat we work on is, we charter quite a bit, and we have owners and guests on quite a bit. And if the rest of the time we're either moving or in the shipyard, so the boat never stops. And it's one of those things, especially. I mean, I'm on rotation, so I mean, I can grind through 6 weeks, 2 months, and do it. I get through it. I'm used to it. But for the rest of the crew, it can be pretty tough. So I focus on them. Like if they say, "Hey, I need a personal day, or I need some time." Okay, what can I help you with? What do you need? What do you need from me? Do you need me to just step off and you just kind of walk away for a little bit? If that's fine too, because everybody here works pretty hard, and especially the people that are here full time, they need that time off, or just even just space. And we've discussed this before. Just I'm a big proponent of people getting off the boat, even if it's just take a walk, and I'm glad you reminded me the other day of where I am. Like, you've gone to the beach, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm here. It's 2 minutes, and so every morning I'm jumping in the water or doing a hike, just jumping in. Even if I don't do anything before work, it's like 5-10 minutes to jump in. Easy. That's a reset for me. That's like recharge the battery. And even if I didn't get any sleep that night, I jump in the water. I'm good. And I just strongly recommend that everyone just kind of take that time, and myself being the captain, I try to get the other people to do the same, because if I keep grinding and grinding, the rest of the crew is probably going to do that also, and people will burn out.
Yeah, and just I agree 100% with you, and that spot you're talking about is a special one. I've seen crew sleeping there from the night out, but I'm usually there with a couple of other crew doing a swim up and down. I'm like, what a night. You know what boats they're from too, so it's like, it's not a great choice. Don't
hey there, John.
Yeah, exactly. A shout out to Melanie from Mental Health. She's indicated finding a space is tricky. We've
Yeah.
also got Charles who gives you a shout out. Tessa, do you know Charles from the Yachting
Yes, I
Investor?
do
Yeah,
know
man.
Charles. Hi,
He's a
Charles.
special man. And then
Southern
Captain
Charles.
Maslow also says hello, which is beautiful. But we're talking about navigating balance here. So tell us about kind of what your, not objectives, what's your kind of company policies or company goals, put it like that. You've got some great pillars and you've got a great course and some online coaching, and I'm really excited about it because I think people can, I always say, externalize the problem. Don't internalize, get help, whatever
Get
that
help.
may be.
Yeah.
You can always be better by asking others. And so
Mhm.
tell us about navigating balance.
No, you're right. You can always be better by asking others. And I think that we often, again, in yachting, but in any industry, you kind of are embarrassed with any challenges that you might face. But at the end of the day, a lot of us are going through the same things. So navigating balance is essentially a platform and a support system built by myself. And then I also have another dietitian, Bella, who has been in the yachting industry with me. And we just want to provide science-backed nutrition and fitness and mindset tools to yachties, because social media can be such a great tool, but there's also a lot of nonsense out there and a lot of misinformation, and it can be very harmful for so many of us, because we all have very specific family histories, maybe chronic diseases, maybe just bad relationships with food, that sort of thing. So kind of taking advice online from someone that doesn't have a certification can be very harmful. So our whole approach is really rooted in science, because again, what works for me isn't necessarily going to work for someone else. And with navigating balance, we only have on the team yachties or ex-yachties, because the industry is just so diverse or so different and unique to any other industry. So we really just want to adapt, you know, gentle nutrition and mindful nutrition into the yachting industry. And like you said, we often are just a sounding board for yacht crew, and I've had clients calling me and we don't even talk about nutrition because they just need like to feel understood, and that what they're going through is not silly or abnormal.
Exactly. Well, you like Melanie's saying from Marathon for Mental Health, and can't wait for next year already, Melanie, in a run. But you know, science backed is the key. It's quite. It's not just someone's opinion of, okay, go have some turmeric or have a cup of, you know. There's more to it. But I'm going to be the devil's advocate here and be difficult and say toxic leadership exists in yachting, and the words like "it is what it is." That's the way it's always been. Those type of words make people feel useless in their roles. And I'm going to say this again, is I don't have a choice, because that's what a lot of crew feel. Like we don't have a choice of what we eat. We wake up, we have breakfast, we have lunch, and we have dinner. And it's provided for us.
Yeah.
And as a junior crew to come in and say, you know, I kind of need more protein or I need more vegetables. That's a battle captains, Scott and I, really have to face.
And I think it's also dependent on what the crew prefer. So if you're with crew that I guess don't want to eat a lot of like nutrient dense foods like vegetables and fruits, you are going to get given, you know, highly processed foods. But I've actually found that it's not the meals that people are struggling with, it's the snack cupboard. Like that's where you're stressed, you're tired, you skip breakfast and it's before lunch, it's tea time and you're ravenous and you get into the crew mess. And like those are actually more important choices than what the chef is cooking. Because often on board, you get a range of things and you can also decide accordingly to your goals. But it's often the snacks. And I think that's the biggest thing. And emotional eating and binge eating is huge, because it's a very convenient stress reliever because the food is so abundant on board.
So what's your go-to snacks then? I mean, you know, what's your kind of go-to thought
What do I
process?
like?
I know I'm blind. We've got some great snacks down there, and being Christmas,
Okay,
we've got the little sweets, the little sugar cane things. I'm like, don't touch it.
It's Christmas time. Well, I would always say, and it's like often there's two reasons why I say this, is when you're reaching for a snack, make sure it has a source of protein in it or a source of fiber, but protein more so, because when you are in like, you know, you having an energy crash, your sugar's low, you are going to go for something that doesn't have protein in, like chips or like chocolate or something quick and easy. So the protein, not only whatever you're having, if it is high in sugar, is going to regulate that blood sugar level, but it's also going to slow you down and make you think, okay, but why am I reaching for this right now? One,
Yeah.
like, is it an emotional urge? Am I stressed? You know, is someone irritating me on board? Whatever the case is. And like, what do I actually need? Okay, I'm tired, so I need to make sure I'm eating something that's actually going to give me energy and not something that'll give me a quick dopamine kick, and then I'm going to have the same problem in 2 hours from now.
Wow. So that's
But
the
there's so many snack
science-based bit,
options you can
correct?
go for.
Like
Pardon?
that's the science-based
Mm,
Hmm.
information. You're saying the triggers are either
mm.
having a disagreement with someone. What are the three triggers you mentioned for emotional
Well,
eating?
yeah, I mean, there can be so many triggers. It could be irritable at like your crew, you know, a guest could have shouted at you. You could
Yeah.
just be tired. You could be lonely. You could be homesick. I mean, there's so many things that could impact emotional eating.
Okay. So emotional
Yeah.
eating in the yachting environment is kind of the first pillar we're talking about. But honestly, as
Mm.
Captain Scott, we're not, none of my courses about collision regulations and remembering every single collision regulations talks about this. So as a captain, where do we find, like, how do you find space, Captain Scott? Like, do we get involved in menu planning? Which I do, because I love good food. So I do get involved. But where do we see
I
it as captains? How do we help others?
I really don't, and I'm guilty of I'm grabbing a coffee like, hey, that looks good, but
Oh,
yeah, no,
Donut Friday.
but I focus.
Can't wait for Donut Friday.
I make a conscious effort of like staying away from the snacks because most of them aren't really the best thing for you, and you stick to the meals that the chef gives you. You're exactly right that usually the chefs cook a few different choices, and we don't go too heavy into multiple choices because you can't really please everyone, because if you go ask 9 people, they're going to want 9 different things, and the chef,
Yeah.
it's not fair to the chef to really to do that, because they won't really be doing it. But I know just my most of my life, because I've done a lot of fitness and nutrition, and I've always kind of tried to figure out what works for me, because I never really bought into the thing of just, well, this is what everyone's eating now. This is, and there's a lot of media and hype, and like, no, now you eat coconut, now you have turmeric and this and that. And I have personal experience in that with our daughter. She took she had a lot of pain management that she went through, and I know that we finally found a doctor that went through nutrition and a holistic approach, and I know that everybody is different. You're exactly right that she took a blood test, an allergy test, a stool sample, saliva sample, and went through all of that, and she had a 90. She took an allergy test for 90 foods. She's allergic to about 80 of them. So all the
Wow.
foods we thought we were giving her were causing her pain in her gut and everything else.
Mhm.
So I've gone through a lot of that. So I know, and I'm going to do the exact same thing for myself. Although I feel healthy, if I do that, I know I can optimize that. And my wife is doing the same now. And it's just another way that you can kind of see, because you could probably filter out probably 80% of the foods that you actually eat that you probably don't need. You could,
Mhm.
it's
Okay.
kind of the way I look at it, as a way of simplifying it, and everybody's different. So it's kind of a balance, like you're saying, seeking the balance. The balance of your nutrition is going to be different for you. It's going to be different for me. It's going to be different for her. So
Mhm.
True,
it's,
true.
you
And
know,
as a cap, like I try and stay really neutral because I try never to take sides or anything. But
yeah.
it's interesting as a neutral captain when I ask, when people are joining, the vegetarians or vegans, yachting's a very judgmental industry, and we're surrounded by people that when the masses combine, when you've got 5 or 6 really strong meat eaters, they
Yeah.
will naturally go against a vegetarian, or
Yeah.
everyone's focused on health, they'll pick on someone who's not so healthy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I always try and stay neutral and say, look, everything's open on the table. You just got to be
Mhm.
humble and be grateful, because gratitude, I think, reaches further than judgment, and that's a
Mhm.
strong a strong sentence. Gratitude reaches further than judgment. But as a captain, when we onboard people, because we want some action items out of this. So one of my action items is part of our onboarding process is here's your not your dietary requirements, but here's your favorite foods. What's your
Mhm.
favorite snacks, your favorite drinks, your favorite meals, any dietary requirements. It's a one page, and we give it to the chief stew, who then puts it in with all the rest of the crew. So the chef has on his whiteboard in the galley now every crew member's name, all their likes and dislikes. And now on Thursday he does a chia cup. with just a beautiful fresh chia cup every Thursday now on board the boat.
Mhm.
So we try and focus on the structure that everyone gets that balanced diet.
Mhm.
But going back to number two, the pillar of number two is gut discomfort. You know, what you eat is what you are. What's the science behind that, or where do you take that, Tessa? Gut discomfort.
The gut
Stress
is such a big topic, and there's so much new information coming out, especially with like probiotic use and that sort of thing. But what I found really interesting in my recent research has been your gut is so closely linked to your stress. So there's a hormone called serotonin, which is like your feel-good, calming hormone, and 95% of that is found in your gut.
Mhm.
So
95% of the body's
serotonin.
serotonin is found in the gut. Wow.
So if your serotonin is depleted and you're stressed and you're fatigued, your gut's also going to feel that. And it can also be, of course, linked to your food. And like Captain Scott said, like there's so many different aspects that can affect people's pain and if you have IBS or something like that. But the gut plays a crucial role stress plays a crucial role in gut discomfort as well. A lot of crew struggle with like constipation, bloating, just like not feeling good. I know personally, like there's one day that I feel like I need to upsize my uniform, and then the next day I feel like I need to downsize my uniform. You know what I mean? Like there's so much inflammation in your body, and it's a crazy environment, and it's quite interesting to see how stress impacts your guts.
But based on science, what's the time frame? Like when you start feeding your gut better, do you see turnarounds in a day or a week, or because I'll be honest, now I'm feeling not great. I'm not sure what it is. We've just got some. I know what it is. We've just got some whole bunch of spicy relishes from the Christmas market. And all the crew are having spicy relish and everything. Just like 3 days of spicy relish. I can't do this anymore.
Could have pulled up. The thing is with the gut, it's so individual. So you really have to take it person by person. Like that, for instance, probably did cause some discomfort for you. Even like increasing your fiber, which is a great thing because good fiber, I mean, protein's such a buzzword. I think fiber should actually be the buzzword. It really does prevent a lot of like colon cancers and hypertension and all those chronic diseases, just having a lot of fiber in your diet. But if you increase your fiber too quickly with not enough water, you're going to feel discomfort. So it's so individual. Some people have, intolerances to maybe wheat or even like different types of vegetables or legumes. So the gut is extremely individual, and it's a very frustrating thing to figure out what works for you and what doesn't, because you've almost got to kind of keep a food journal and then like write down after every meal like how you feel, and you've got to keep on that. You can, if you do have something like IBS, you can do an elimination diet or a FODMAP diet, where you basically take out all the potentially like inflammatory or gassy discomfort foods from your diet, and then you slowly introduce them. So that's
time consuming, but
tricky, but as like a general pardon?
Yeah. Go on, the general rule.
Just like a general rule of thumb with like guts, you want to have like a good functioning gut, regular bowel movements and that sort of thing. You do want to be eating a good source of fiber. And the thing for me is like in the morning, you actually just want to give yourself time. Like you need to, and it's so hard when you're on a charter because you want 5 minutes in bed more than you do to sit and have coffee and make a mess and that sort of thing. So a lot of the time it's just waking up and trying to be relaxed, even if it's for 2 to 5 minutes, and then making sure you're getting your fiber. And it's also about diversity. So you want to have a lot of different types of nuts and seeds and vegetables. So I always say like eat the rainbow. If you've got color on your plate, you're probably hitting those marks.
Okay.
And
like the chia pudding is great. Captain Scott, you mentioned you had some experience. Is there a testing that we can test out what works for us, what not? Well, what about those blood sugar ones I see on people?
Yeah, there's. I know we did with our daughter. We did blood tests, allergy tests, saliva tests, stool sample. We did all of those things, and we sat with a consultation with a holistic doctor and everything else. And it took, to answer your question, she had a very extreme case. She had a pain level 6 from she was about 8 years old to she was about 18, 19. It was 6 to 10 every day for 10 to 12 years. But it took about 2 years of her eating those certain foods and then taking all these supplements where they were very calculated. I'm sure you're aware of, I'm sure that's what you do, because it's not an exact science for, it's not an all consuming science. But you can get very specific when you take those tests for that person. And I know it works. I didn't, at that point we went to multiple doctors and surgeons and biopsies. We did all kinds of MRIs and all kinds of things that just didn't work. And I know that this works. So I'm really happy that you're on here talking to people about this, because I think more of us need to do that and realize what foods are really good for us, because we might be eating all the wrong things for ourselves.
Yeah, true. I mean, I think back to some days in Alaska where I'm on the bridge for like 14, 16 hours a day, which is not right, but we're changing out with the chief officer. We're getting our hours of rest, but it's what I ate on that bridge those days in the summer was just like, God, it's like by 11 o'clock, it was like Coca-Cola, cookies. I need the caffeine. I need the sugar.
It was like a quick energy hit.
Yeah.
I got to get power to the head,
Yeah.
But just before we go on to the next pillar, which is low energy, burnout, and recovery, what's you said bring up the fiber, because everyone knows about protein now. We have all the protein shakes through mess. What's the kind of top 2 or 3 go-to for fibers? Like legumes?
Vegetables, legumes, fruit. What you enjoy at the end of the day, like what you're actually going to eat is always good. Yeah. Nuts and seeds are great. Like that's also a way you could even make like if the chef makes like a little mixed nut jar, you can sprinkle it on salads or yogurt in the morning. That sort of thing. So
trade some of the crew snacks out instead of the M&Ms and the Snickers.
Yeah, maybe get some
trail mixes. A little nut
trail mixes. I love that.
Yeah, I love them. They're good.
Yeah.
Okay, so more fiber than
grain. There's so many different sources of fiber.
Okay, so the next pillar we talk about, and this is all in your course, correct? You've got like a little masterclass. Okay, yes. And was there 10 chapters, or we're just talking about the 5 pillars here?
So the pillars are the pillars of navigating balance. So that's what we deal with our clients with and what we focus on. But then also the masterclass is 10 modules.
And who do you think needs it most in terms of your client?
Everyone needs it. Honestly, I think everyone needs it. Because there's so much misinformation. It's like it's essentially taking you back to the foundations, basic nutrition, basic fitness, how it actually works. And then like you can decide how you want to use the tools and the tasks that you get given.
Yeah. The more you put in, the more you get out, I'm sure too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the next one's low energy, burnout, and recovery. Crew often suffer from chronic low energy, full-scale burnout due to demanding schedules. Furthermore, their exercise routine, what exercise routine is what you're I saw someone the other day do a running around your boat for 10 kilometers. I'm like, look at all the sweat going over the windows. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Whoa, look at those decks.
Look at those decks. Like, just slow down. You're going to trip yourself. So that's the joke in yachting. You know what I mean? But on Unbridled, we've got a beautiful crew. I encourage them to go to yoga classes. Wave Wellness has great programs with Class Pass. And then we get access to the equipment at a certain time of the day. So that's kind of what we do on Unbridled. But where are you going with the low energy burnout? What's your approach to it? How do you target nutrition therapy?
Burnout is also something I think is underestimated. People just kind of throw it around, and it's a medical term.
Okay.
It's something that's medically recognized in burnout, and I think a lot of crew have faced it, and it's essentially like losing your edge. Like you feel like you're kind of losing yourself a little bit, which sounds a bit dramatic, but I think a lot of crew can understand what that means, especially when you're on a heavy charter boat. So my sort of approach to it is sort of in the background, is like trying to get clients to prioritize themselves, whether that be take 10 minutes to go for a walk or take 10 minutes to do like a little workout when the guests are not on board, or if you have 10 minutes, like we can find 10 minutes a day most of the time. There was there was 2 studies I found quite interesting. The one actually said that burnout, one of the things that impacts burnout is essentially working really hard but not getting a reward, which I think is quite highly prevalent in yachting. We work really hard, but we don't often get that like tap on the shoulder like you did a good job. It's often you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this. And then there was a study done on medical residents who also work extremely hard and how they recovered from burnout.
Ah,
And the 3 strategies around that was doing something for or nurturing your sense of self. So often we end up a charter, we go with the same crew to the marina bar and we talk about yachting the whole day. So like
Hmm.
instead of doing take the crew and like go to the beach or find like join a class on ClassPass and go for a boxing class or a yoga class, something that you're making memories, you're not just talking about yachting, so you're finding your sense of self again. Then that was taking time off, which isn't always possible, but I think the way you spend your time off is very important. I know we love a party after charter, but at the end of the day, if you're going to be hungover, alcohol also impacts your mental state and, those serotonin levels and dopamine levels. Like, how are you actually using your rest? And, like, being very mindful about not just rest, but actually, like, re-energizing yourself and getting that recovery back from working and then sleeping. So I always say you can't really change how much quantity of sleep you get, but you can change the quality of sleep you get. So like having like a
okay.
mini routine at night, like before you get into bed, like make yourself a cup of chamomile so you're kind of telling your body like it's time to go to bed. Don't scroll on your phone. I know we all do it, but
Yeah.
just like little it's always like very small things that work for crew differently.
And what do you think, Captain Scott, with your experience? What's a couple of go-tos to kind of, once you've felt that burnout, what's the routines to try and get back?
Yeah, for me, like she mentioned, the nightly routine. If that's off, then my sleep's off. So that
Mm-hmm.
I've tendency, that start, I try to say, hey, I'm done working for the day or whatever, but then, oh, wait a minute, I just got to do this, and then,
Yeah.
but usually when I pick up my book or whatever, and then I have this letter that I read that I wrote to myself, like a future declaration letter that I read to myself
Oh,
every night, and then that I read as well. Once I do that, then my eyes start to get heavy, and
yeah.
so for me that's helpful because and especially when I'm at home, I have a book in the morning that I read that I like. That is something I want to learn about, and then the night book is something that's fun that maybe a great story or something, so it kind of helps me relax. That's what I do, and then sometimes I do a little bit of breathing and stuff. But the
Yeah.
rest is very I like what you said about the not the quantity of rest, but the quality of rest, because I notoriously that's something I've been working on most of my life, trying to get the most amount of rest, because I know when I get off my rotation, when I go home, my wife goes, "I know you're just going to sleep for a couple of days."
Exactly. Sleep,
And I
hydrate,
don't
and
realize,
walk, and
I don't I
leave.
don't realize I don't realize that all those things are still spinning in my head, and then when I get there I'm like, okay, I'm home, and then boom, I'll just wherever I land, I'm done.
It's funny, my wife and kids see me go for about 3 days of just organising things and sorting it out and getting everything. I'm just like, after about 3 days, I'm like, all right, cool. Why am I doing this? And over the years, I've learned just go home and relax. Just have
Yeah,
quality
Yeah.
time with
yeah,
family, things you love. But I had a great
Mm.
chat. A big shout out to my brother-in-law Carlos from Dominican Republic. It's my brother-in-law, and he lives in the mountains. We're a coffee
nice.
plantation. Hopefully,
Oh,
going to go
beautiful.
visit over Christmas. But he's a beautiful man, and the life he lives is kind of what I strive for. Because it's wake up,
Mm.
healthy food, bananas or plantains, avocados, and I see he sends me a lot of food pictures, where he's having a nice strong black coffee made in the farm. It's organic food, no pesticides. And I'm like,
Oh,
that's where it comes back to your gut health. But
Mm.
what about Glenn from Super Yacht Fitness? I had a good chat with him the other day for the Captain's Chat series, and he said lighting is one of the most misunderstood
oh
things in
yeah,
yachting. So,
Mm-hmm.
do either of you know about lighting and the importance in
yeah.
where what do you think, Scott?
I know that there's a lot of proven studies that when you wake up, when the sun comes up, it's proven that to reset your circadian rhythms and everything, to go outside and get at least 15 minutes of sunlight, and get it in so that it gets into your eyes, and it creates that balance in your body that, okay, it's time to wake up, and then it resets that natural rhythm And I know it affects me a lot as well because I make a point of doing it. When I don't do it, like I'll just start doing it. Sometimes I haven't gone outside till later. Then you go outside and you're like, oh, the sun's
Mm,
actually out. You know, and you're like, then you're immediately awake, you know?
yeah. And it can be the other way as well. You want to have that darkness to get the
Hmm.
melatonin, but you're in a boat with bright lights, so your body doesn't
Hmm.
really know the difference.
And it comes
Yeah.
back to nature, doesn't it? Fresh air.
Hmm.
But we're not just talking
Exactly.
about, you're saying that the other pillars of navigating balance are not just the gut. There's also the
Mm,
mind and wellness, correct? So
yeah.
what do we talk about when we say lack of, structure and accountability on yachts?
Mm.
How can we improve our accountability or structure what do we have control of?
What do we have control of? I think, at the end of the day, in yachting, we are going to always be very nomadic and moving, and things are going to change, and you're going to have to be adaptable. And that's the industry we're in, and we love it, and we hate it sometimes too. But I think with navigating balance, we want to provide yachties with that accountability, because I truly, truly believe that if you want to work on your mindset around nutrition, whatever goals you have, improve your fitness, like prioritize health, you can. So we want to give people that accountability. You talking to us every day, you getting check-ins every week, you setting
Okay.
goals every week. So you just, instead of, focusing, we always have something to focus on. You can always find time, whether it's scrolling online or going out to a party or, booking a workout class. We do make decisions. So we just want to be there to sort of guide your crew and find those little gaps amongst the chaos where you can focus on yourself and actually prioritize your goals, because it is important, not just for our own health and well-being, but also for us to be good crew members and to be able to, perform well during a charter season and not be burnt out at the end of it.
Yeah. Well, we had a great
Mm.
chat was it last week, Captain Scott, where we were both reminded that the other resources are just as
Hmm.
important. The external resources like your
Yes.
family
Mm.
and support
Yeah.
network yourself. So I don't
Mm.
know. It's hard finding that gap because as a father and someone who's trying to do a bit in yachting in terms of leadership and transparency, I wake up, my family, and then I have either myself, and then I have work, and then all of a sudden the
Mm.
priorities go quick. So you
No,
just make it when that accountability you're talking about. You're saying it's a non-negotiable. I have to
Hmm.
not
eat good food.
yeah.
I
And like,
cannot have.
this week you've got one goal,
Yeah.
and that someone's going to check in on you at the end of the week, and you
Ah,
can make the goal as easy or as difficult as you want,
Hmm.
but it should always be. I don't know if you've ever read Atomic Habits, but
Tommy.
he says you should sort of try and improve or set a goal like 4% above your difficulty, or like outside of your comfort zone, like nothing crazy big that you're going to fail. You
Yeah.
want to be able to achieve small things every week, so that at the end of the year you've done that 52 times, and you can turn back and say, wow, look how far I've come. So it's like
Oh, better
small
advice.
small shifts.
I
Yeah.
try and go right like 20% and I never reach it. And I'm like, that's all right. At least it's not
Yeah.
4% sounds attainable. What do you think, Captain Scott, with accountability and how do we manage that in this challenging environment?
Well, I think if you have an accountability partner like her being ashore and having a program or having someone that your family at home say, "Hey, I'm doing this,"
Mm.
and having them check in and say, "Hey, didn't you do this?" I've had coaches and stuff like that too. Those are always good things, and mentors are helpful. But one thing that always helped me was like if you do have that goal, just kind of say, okay, what's the one thing I need to get done that'll put me closer to that? What's the most important thing to get me there? And do that first, and then the rest of the day is easy.
Mm.
Um,
So goal settings, accountability, and then also I always want to encourage people with boundaries. That's
mhm.
my tip is set boundaries for yourself and for others because even a captain, even a chief officer, we have demands, but sometimes you've got to say, look, I need to get this running. I know I don't mind starting a bit later or earlier or whatever we need. I know we've got a big day tomorrow, but I need to try and get my little fitness routine in at some point during the day. I think that's important. Then we talk about body image, confidence. The difference I see with yourself navigating balance is it's made for yachties, not for
Mm-hmm.
influencers,
Mhm.
not following trends of have aloe
Yeah.
vera drink, whatever that trend was for a while there. Drink aloe vera. I'm like,
Yeah.
aloe vera.
Yeah.
spirulina, you name it. Like,
Spirulina.
yeah,
Gosh, yeah.
I'm like, if I listened to everyone, I'd be having this huge smoothie that's it, blend it all in. So what do we talk about
Crazy.
body image? Because it's a very,
Mm.
um, what's the word? What's the word, Tess? How do you find the industry when it comes down to body image?
There's very high expectations of
High
it. And I
expectations.
speak a lot about this in the masterclass that I'm launching in Jan. And I was like kind of speculating, it could be from guests, because like we know the guests are like, they've got so much wealth and resources. They come onto the boat, they look beautiful. So it could be that. And it's also the crew. Like I do find that there is a lot of comparison. A lot of crews also kind of looking at what you're eating. A lot of like the interior, or the chief steward is responsible for your uniform size, so that can cause a little bit of insecurity amongst people, a little bit of comparison. So I think there are high expectations of it,
Yep.
just the nature of the industry and who we're serving. And I think that it's a tricky one, because we want to be our best and be confident and be healthy, and that does come with certain habits and lifestyles. But there's also that part of us that we want to be healthy and comfortable in our own skin. And what maybe a very slim person looks like is not always healthy for someone else.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm explaining
I don't
myself
think it
correctly,
matters
but health
personally.
health looks very
Yeah.
like different for different people, and I
Yes.
think that you have this very specific idea of what it should look like, and in yachting there is these high expectations, and I think that can also come in with your mindset around food. That kind of trickles into emotional eating and binge eating as well, when you don't feel comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah. What do you think, Scott? I mean, I think it's very unhealthy to even like I know what you're saying. I know, and guests and
Yeah.
crew and everyone wants to look pretty and happy, but
Yeah.
there's no recipe to it. Happiness is more important. Your own self
Yeah.
worth, your faith, your family, your
Yeah.
finances. There's so many other attributes to success than how you physically look. And I think as a captain, it's our responsibility to make sure we don't encourage that kind of physicality, that physical attraction, because there's no place for it in a workplace, especially
Yeah.
one where we go to sea and spend a long time in remote parts of the world. So I really dislike, I had an owner once who had the stewardesses dance in Atlantis. Stern too, he wanted the stewardesses to dance. And I was just like, the girls asked me, I said, no way. No, I'll have a chat. I said, look, this is their careers. They're professionals. I'll get you a couple of dances. No problem. But I can't ask the two girls to do it, because they've got their tasks, and I don't want to make any physicality out of it, because that's exposed to risk. But what about you, Captain Scott, when we talk about kind of body image, confidence,
Well,
and wellness?
we can get into the fact that it can be very superficial, and while we all strive to be aesthetically pleasing and stuff like that, this is the only industry where it's acceptable where you have to have a picture on your CV. Anywhere
Yeah.
else, it's not acceptable at all, and actually
Yeah.
probably illegal.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that, and that's like step one. But to your point, it's if you're feeling lost or unhappy, you're probably not going to feel beautiful, so you're probably not going to be your
Yeah.
beautiful or your most best. Whereas some people, where if they're just beautiful, if they're happy, happiness is beauty, and happy brings all those aesthetics with you, and it's attractive to everyone. So I think, to your point, if you focus on being happy and doing the things that make you happy, you're going to end up being healthier. And it's proven that if you're happy, you're probably going to be more healthy. And people that are very happy have that glow about them, and and it's attractive to everyone. And then people want
Yeah.
to work with them. People want to work with them, and people want to live with them. And it's easier said than done. But
Yeah.
you know, I would like to think that we're not in a very aesthetic world with social media and everything else. Like, some people just watch all the social media, and they, there's that saying, comparison is the thief of joy. Focus on not comparing yourself to anyone. Be the best that you can be, and then all this everything around you will be better.
Yeah, and then
Mm.
beautiful words, Scott. You know, I'm looking forward to kind of playing that back because I think that resonates with what I think is a good team culture, a good crew culture. When everyone thinks that, I mean, Louis put down that his partner and I were in yachting, and they were cautious of her body image while on land. And when she joined yachting, she was more relaxed and was happy. I think that's if you embrace the environment around you and
Mm.
you know surround yourself like Melanie at Marathon for Mental Health. Find your tribe. Find the people that the body image doesn't matter. The uniform
Mm.
Mm.
size doesn't matter. It's
And
how is
also
our
looking at,
conversation.
sorry, I
I go
interrupted
on.
you, but also looking at like, more my advice would be instead of focusing on like trying to look like someone else or trying to fit a certain size, like try and improve your functionality. Like what can your body do?
Yeah.
Like that's way more important. And when you start focusing on, okay, I can actually, lift heavier, I can run faster without being so tired, I can go play a game of paddle with my crew. Like that's
Yeah.
also gonna really improve and enhance your body confidence and hopefully your body image as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big
No,
believer
most
in
definitely.
teamwork and leadership, and I think as a team, every team's a bit unique the way you play,
Mm.
and in order to get success. Like I like Premier League football and or any sports, team sports, because every team is different from the coach to the crew to the way their mental
Mm.
strength, their physical strength, their training techniques. So we really got to find that boat out there. But we're going to go back to the reality of burnout because it keeps resonating with me what my friend just called me up about, and he doesn't want to be in yachting anymore. Like that's
Mm.
how bad he feels right now. And he's like, I
Mm.
wish people just helped me because it was 2-3 weeks there that I just could not survive. And there was
Mm.
two captains on a boat and there was crew and he just couldn't find his mental space. And now he doesn't want to be yachting. And I reminded him that we go way back and we do it because we love the fishing and the surfing and the diving. There's good moments. So simplify your life. There's another one here from Muhammad, 25 Muhammad. Hello, Captain. I have no one I can trust aboard. What kind of way should I try to work? I'm writing from Turkey. Hello from Turkey. No one you can trust. Trust is a whole different conversation, I think. And do you earn trust? Do you give trust? That's I don't know. That's a different kind of conversation. This one, with all respect, because it's a big thing. Trust in yachting.
Mm.
Sometimes you're
Yeah.
trusting the wrong person. So, not having trust is okay. Focus on your goals. Don't
Hmm.
focus on the fact that people are trusting you or not trusting you, because there's the old saying, "Trust all, but tie up your own horse," meaning look after you, Muhammad. Look after you. What are your personal goals? What are your objectives? And then reach out. Reach out to
Yeah.
companies like Navigating Balance. And the stronger you are individually, the more people around you will get that respect. And then that respect builds trust. What do you think, Tessa? Does that kind of resonate?
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think, like you said, like at the end of the day, you have to focus on yourself and you
Yeah.
can't really change the people around you, especially if it's crew, and just try and kind of draw that professional boundary, work with them. You don't have to have them involved in your life and your goals.
Yeah, perfect. And what about you, Captain Scott? I mean, we're talking about personalized online coaching. Where do you find this kind of navigating balance? How do you resonate with it within your team or in the industry? Do you think there's space for it?
Yeah, there's definitely space for it because we can all improve. And, I
Yeah.
know myself, and I said this to someone the other day is that, like a software company, they always release a beta version first. And then there's multiple beta versions. I said, we're all just a beta version, working and updating all the time. And I know I am because there's
Yeah.
a lot of things I can improve on, and I'll be the first person to say that I'm a work in progress, and it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's where you don't know where you're going to be in life too. So you have all these goals. Like I did my goals back in 2024 and I'm trying to set my 2026 goals now, you know. And I only achieved one of my goals for 2025 and I'm like, that's okay. That's all right.
That's okay.
Now
Yeah,
what are
that's
my
good.
goals for 20? One's okay.
Yeah.
I'm happy with
Yeah.
one. Better than none. So
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you, Tessa? What's your vision? You've got a masterclass coming out in January 2026 with 10
Yes.
modules. Tell us
Yeah.
about that because that sounds like a great fit.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's essentially, I found a lot of crew also just on their schedules don't always have the time for one-on-one coaching. So it's something you can do at your own pace. But the whole process around it was module 1 is essential, and they follow on from each other. But you do a lot of like self-reflecting. Who do you want? And that's why it's perfect to start in Jan. Who do you want to be in a year from now? And every single module has tasks and resources and prompts that you can use after each video. And then we sort of go through so many different topics. We talk about burnout, we talk about how the metabolism works, your macros, and the importance of every single one. Like, we're not taking out carbohydrates and fats, like we're eating everything. We talk about managing emotional eating and binge eating. We talk about fitness, finding consistency, you know, how you're building up your muscle mass to increase your metabolism. We talk about so much, but every single module sort of builds up on to the neck from the previous one. And then the module 10 sort of grounds everything together. So you take your long-term goals, like essentially your New Year's resolutions, and then we break them down into smaller goals that you can essentially look at every single week and build up towards them. And
so
I want it
it's
to
an
be
online course.
It's an online course. Flexible learning, take it at your own pace, watch a video, complete the task, or download the resource, and then move on from the next. And yeah, I really truly want it to be like a really great foundational knowledge for yachties. It's the latest science around nutrition, and then I've adapted it to the industry as well.
Well, it sounds wonderful, especially because it's built for yachties by yachties.
Yeah.
I don't know any other industry that, you know, the merchant sector is a little bit different, even to yachting. The commercial industry is different. Yachting really is this, you know, mixing pot of different environments.
Yeah.
And I'll also say, you know, right now, Scott, there's a lot of, because of social media or whatever, there's so many people reaching out to me about their situations, and it's horrible. It's you know, it's for me, I'm just trying to help these people get resources, whether it's Iceland, Yachting Minds Matter, Maritime for Mental Health. I'm trying to get them professional help, and I think navigating balance is a tool people can use. But keep reaching out, people, and keep asking for help, whether it's myself, Tessa, Captain Scott. The first step is kind of reaching out and getting outside of your own personal comfort zone by asking for help or explaining your situation. A lady just got fired recently because the captain found out she had a child. And I was like, how's this happening in an industry that should be around beauty of the world around us, natural, and creating memories and moments? So keep reaching out, because I think a momentum of a lot of safety culture is coming. There's a lot of good groups that are being created. And what's your key takeaways, Captain Scott, from today's conversation, or action items for people?
Well, action items would be one is just keep working on yourself and how you can make yourself better. Like, the nutrition is a big thing, you know, and don't beat yourself up about any of it. You know, if you have the piece of cake, don't worry about it. You had a piece. Sometimes you got to have a piece of cake, you know. Moderation, you know, I have a really good friend of mine. He always said, everything in moderation, including moderation. Sometimes you got to go flat out, and sometimes you got to scale it back. And if you just do it moderately and don't beat yourself up about it, just keep focusing on building. You know, every choice you make can make you that 1% better every day, and it'll just keep building and building.
Beautiful, beautiful advice. And Tessa, yourself?
Wow, I think.
What's your action items? You kind of said?
My action items.
Yeah, for people, advice for people out there.
Again, like giving yourself a lot of grace. I think we're very hard to judge ourselves, and like you said, even like you set goals that are maybe 20% above what you're currently doing. And we have been brought up in like a very heavy diet culture where we are expected to sort of fail in these diets. So give yourself grace, give yourself self-compassion, you know, learn about yourself. And like you said, moderation, have that mindful approach towards food. Like, food is also there to enjoy and to, you know, bond people together. So have cake, that's not going to kill you. But I think, just giving yourself grace and work towards your goals slowly. And I often think, if I had started slowly 10 years ago, you know, instead of constantly trying to, like, you know, change my life 180 over a day, I would have been so much further. So just slowly, be patient, and just be kind to yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And then also by
Mm.
building slowly. Like, I mean, Captain Scott got me into breath work. Someone else got me into
Yeah.
yoga. And I'm horrible at
Mm.
both. And the more I do it, the more I realize how horrible I was.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
yesterday I got this pose and I was like, all right, I feel something now. And I
Yeah.
feel the breath more. There's more to this, you know, and
Mm.
that's where that slow progression. And I want to finish on struggling doesn't mean you're failing. So we have to
Mm.
change the mindset. Just because you're struggling with something, whether it's, you know, people giving you pressure, whether it's your job, it doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're finding depth in character, or an opportunity for depth in character, because that's where I
Mm.
think real growth does exist, in that challenge. And we all have it. I have huge challenges every day, week, month, year. And I have to keep resetting myself, going, all right, what are my goals? Is it a marathon? Is it, you know, is it yoga? Is it? So try and just
Mm.
nail down what your goals are, like our friend in Turkey, and focus on yourself. So, but I cannot say how grateful I am for your opportunity in joining us, Tessa.
Mm.
You've got a
Thank you so much for
wonderful
having me.
platform. Oh, it's a pleasure. I don't know how we connected, but it really worked and it resonated. And
Mm.
there's no real plans for these check-in Tuesdays. Captain Scott and I just kind of brainstorm and go, what's important?
Mm.
Is there any other important things in the industry that you'd like people to be aware of from your experiences?
No, I think we've touched on so much today. I don't really have
Yeah.
anything else to add.
Start with the stomach. Start with getting that
Yeah,
fiber in.
stop stomach. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. And Captain Scott, any final thoughts?
Well, like just to resonate with what we've all been saying, don't beat yourself up with it. Be kind to yourself. Don't try to do it all in one day, because you can't. And like you were just saying, when we start anything, we're usually not that good at it. And
Yeah.
if you just keep going, we'll get better at it. And it doesn't really matter. Just run your own race and do what makes you happy.
Yeah,
Mm.
lovely, lovely. This purpose of this day is about checking in with the people around you. There are people that are struggling, which doesn't mean they're failing, just means they need your help. So
Mhm.
please reach out to people around you, give them a pat on the back, give them some love, give them some respect, give them some opportunities to succeed. And together as a community, I think we can all be better, and that is success if we can work better. So thanks again, Captain Scott. Thanks again, Tessa. Until we meet
Thank
again.
you. Yeah.
Safe seas and be blessed.
Thank you,
Thank you so
guys.
much. Bye.
Thank you,
Ciao.
guys.